recording. Welcome everybody who's joining us for the very first time. This is Shelter Scriptology. It's a monthly look at how scripting can make you more successful in this industry. There are a million ways to be successful as a real estate agent, and this is an opportunity for us here at Shelter to show the benefits of our partnership to make you better at what you do. Welcome to your Election Day distraction, brought to you by the good folks at Shelter Home Mortgage, Keller Williams in town. Today's date is November 5th, 2024, and this is Shelter Scriptology for the month. We launched Shelter Scriptology as an outreach from our office in an effort to both impress the importance of scripting and to show how these practices have allowed established agents to grow their businesses as well. You'll see many of the reasons why scripting is both effective and important to your business down below on the scroll. But more than anything, it helps you present yourself as a reliable professional who's prepared for any scenario, leading to stronger client relationships and increased success in closing deals. That's my preamble. None of you came here to listen to me talk about it. You came here to learn how scripting can enhance your business. And so without further ado, here's your PC coach, Miss LaCressa Morrow. LaCressa, how's it going today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
How many people are on?
Say it again.
How many people?
There are 5 of us here, and we're going to be recording this so that we can chop it up and get the best of it out of there and get to people. So, LaCressa, first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to do this, taking the time to invest in the education of all of our different realtors here at Keller Williams in town.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite. I do. Scripting is important. So it's good.
So let's start with that. Let's talk about kind of why scripting is important and what you've seen in your business and how it's helped enhance what you do, because what you do is so unique and important, but how being prepared and being able to discuss these things on a more reliable level has helped you prepare and grow your business.
So, as you get started in real estate and even as you continue in real estate, we know that the market is always growing and ever changing, right? So even though you might know the steps, how you talk about it and how you explain it is really important depending on who you're talking to. And so you need to be able to break things down in a way in which whatever client you're talking to is able to understand you, right? Because this is one of the biggest decisions that they're making in their life. So when it comes to scripting, I like to call it scripting and not role playing, which used to be a term that we would use because you're not playing a role, like you're a realtor, right? And hearing how different agents, realtors approach a situation, there's no one way of doing anything. That's one of the beauties of real estate. At the same time, hearing how others are able to explain things can help you craft your language that's a little bit more authentic to you and to your business, to your values, to all of that. So it's just being open and hearing how other people talk about situations, which will allow you to formulate the way you talk about situations as well. So that's where the importance comes. Every agent approaches things a little bit differently. And sometimes I love and gain a lot of insight in how other agents are able to approach the same situation, because all of our brains work differently. So yeah, it's just a way of being able to be proactive. So you're not stumbling through these answers through these questions that you're going to be getting from your clients, whether it is buyers or sellers, or just when you're having casual conversations with people.
That's fantastic. One of the things that I want to build on that you just mentioned was scripting, role playing, doing these things, this practice. It's so important that we get that investment in making yourself reliable and trusted and having the consistency, because it's my opinion, you can expound on this, that's what helps you boost confidence, particularly early on in your career. It allows you the freedom to kind of know that you're doing things not just the right way, but in the best way for your clients.
Absolutely. Look, the more you talk about it, the more confident you are in talking about it. If you can explain it to one person, then you can explain it to something else. Where scripting comes in, and the importance of scripting is that you may have one way of explaining it, but once you hear how others are able to do it, you'll have some light bulb moments to say, oh, this actually lands a little bit better or differently in this situation. So it allows you just to be adaptable and to continue to grow and, increase your knowledge as a realtor.
So one of the things that I do in my practice, in my business, it's again, different, same industry, different parts in the industry, right? Is I get to sit down with people who I work with and say, hey, let's just walk through a couple of different things that you're struggling with, or different things that are going to be points of emphasis that you want to focus on. that can have multiple wins there, because not only, like you said, does it boost that confidence and allow you to know that when you get in the weeds, you're able to handle those conversations, but it also allows you to be proactive about client objections. Like the more you talk with people who've seen different things in the field than you have, the more confident and more clear you're going to be when those things come up. So in your practice, and I guess the way you approach scripting, particularly with our PC group, how have you seen that growing familiarity prepare people outside of what they've seen before? So you don't know what you're going to get when you're in the field. That's just one of the things. It's one of the many variables that we love about our business. But I do think it's super important that we have that comfort, that reliability, that ability to attack things that are going to be common objections. That way, you're not waiting for someone to say, well, here's why I don't want to do X, Y, and Z. You're able to say, hey, this is what people are looking at. This is how they're thinking about it. You get to kind of cut off those objections at the knees by being proactive and being upfront with kind of your knowledge base.
Well, being proactive is everything, right? Like it catches you off guard if you're constantly reactive. So if you're able to kind of give details and explain things from the beginning with one simple question and be able to elaborate on it, it allows them, your clients, to feel open to ask you more questions. I think too, sometimes as agents, because we are in the field all the time and we're always conversing with each other, we tend to use language that is familiar with us. With scripting, it allows you to work with someone as if they are a buyer, as if they are a seller, where they are not familiar with all of our language. They're not familiar with all of our acronyms. So it allows you to be able to slow down and really explain things step by step. There are going to be clients who already get it, right? You can say very simple, basic steps, and they're like, I got it. But then there are others that you're going to have to really be able to break down the information. And if you're not used to talking about it out loud, then you're going to have a nervousness in your voice, which is not going to display any type of confidence. And now you're asking people to have confidence in you when you don't even have confidence in yourself. So scripting allows you to build the confidence in your own language that is authentic to you in order to be able to explain your value the best. So that's where scripting comes in, and that's where the importance comes in, and it allows you to be proactive.
And it's so great because you speak to the authenticity that it allows you, the freedom it allows you. One of my favorite analogies is that when you have a script, it gives you that baseline you can grow from. Because you and I have talked about this repeatedly, there's a million different ways to be a successful real estate agent. The idea of scripting is these boundaries that give you the freedom to color inside the lines, if you will. It allows you to kind of bring more of yourself to what you're doing because you're not worried about getting the information right. One of the things about scripting is that it allows you to move confidently and allows you to say, oh, I know what I'm saying. That way I can have a bit more freedom with it. If you give me a blank piece of paper and said, draw me a thing, I'd freeze. I don't know how to draw. I'm not a very good artist. Mm-hmm. But if you give me a stenciled outline and say color inside this, then my creativity has those boundaries set in place and allows me to be more free with what I'm doing. So you and I both know that people like to work with people that they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
When you have a script, you're able to move confidently. You present yourself as an authority, which allows them to say, okay, I feel like I know you better. Mm-hmm. Now, with that authority, you're able to inject parts of your personality and say, hey, I like this person. You can't control if they like you, but we're pretty likable here. So let's assume that they get to know us, they're going to like us. And thirdly, know, like, and trust. If you are able to move confidently, they'll know you. If you're able to move in a way that relates to them, they'll like you. And with those two combined, they're going to learn to trust you because everything you've demonstrated to that point is reinforcing those same ideals that you present to them in that first buyer consultation.
Right. I think it even happens before the first buyer consultation. It happens when you open your mouth, right? When you let someone know that you are a realtor, that you are in the industry. That's where now I get to know who you are in a sense of just basically your name, right? Your personhood and standing in front of you. But me starting to like you is how confident you are and explain your knowledge just by a simple conversation. Most buyer consultations first start with a simple conversation, and you have to be confident in having simple, casual conversations about home ownership. because the more casual you can talk about it, like I always say, that people want to buy, they don't want to be sold. So if you're able to have a conversation with them where you can talk about their interest in buying without them feeling like they're being sold, then that gets them to like you. Once they like you, then they're going to be willing to give you their contact information, which now becomes a lead. And then from there, you build the trust by the information and the knowledge and the value that you provide. So yes, it is a step-by-step process. But the first thing is opening your mouth. You're not going to open your mouth if you're not confident in what you're saying. Scripting allows you to be confident in what you're saying. So you open your mouth more to let people know that you're a realtor.
That's so important, because I think when people think of scripting, they're thinking of the nitty gritty, the ins and outs of a deal. But what you're saying is that if we can practice that initial conversation, that sets up everything else. If we can practice having those initial reach outs and say, oh, where do you live? Like, one of the things I love about you is when you teach it, you're very unabashed. You're like, I'll ask someone where they live. At least they're going to give me some sort of reply and educate you and inform the rest of your conversation as well.
Oh, yeah. It's an easy lead in, right? I mean, number one, people love their neighborhoods. They rep their neighborhoods. If you drive through in-town neighborhoods specifically, because I'm an in-town girl, then you see people having their people sound signs or their Ormwood signs or whatever. People rep their neighborhoods. They're very proud of where they live. They chose there because they're looking for a particular lifestyle. So that simple question of where you live is going to give you some slight insight to who these people are or what's important to them. So then if you're knowledgeable of their neighborhood, now you can start leading with your knowledge and your value. Oh, you live in Ormwood Park. Have you been over to this restaurant or to this park or to this bar? Now you're showing confidence, right? So it's just one thing that leads to the other. But yes, as a realtor, you need to be nosy. You want to know where people live. You want to know where they work. You want to know where they're sending their kids to school. My clientele don't have children, so it's not a big deal for me when it comes to school districts. But if you are working in the suburbs or you're particularly working with families, then school districts is something you're going to want to know, right? And so when someone mentions, I live so-and-so, then you can easily say, oh, that's whatever high school district. People are going to be impressed by that. I promise you, there are not a lot of agents out here who don't really know neighborhoods. They don't know school districts. They don't know restaurants and parks and things like that. It's an easy way to be able to display your knowledge and allow them to build confidence in you and what you can provide for them.
I love that you brought that up, and I'm going to park there for a second, because when people hear scripting, I think some of the hesitancy is they think of it as rigidity. They think of it as a set thing you've got to say or you've missed the point. I think that was something you're demonstrating, but I want to make sure it's explicit, is that scripting is a framework. Scripting is the start. You've got to inject yourself into this thing, because otherwise, if you're not going to be an active listener, then what's the point of scripting in the first place?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Right. You start with a leading question about them. And then I promise you, eventually it'll turn around to be about you. I think one of the reasons why people are always a little bit hesitant when it comes to scripting is also because they're hesitant in picking up the phone to talk to their base. They're also hesitant in opening up their mouth to say that they are a realtor, right? And so this is all about confidence building, because you're so afraid that you're going to make a mistake or you're not going to be able to answer the question specifically, but you can always frame the conversation and have the confidence that you can explain the conversation and you don't have to get down into the nitty gritty, because in those initial meetings, you're going to be talking about things in generalities, right? What is the general process? Most people are going to say, what's going on with the real estate market? That's an easy one to be prepared for. Well, everyone's a little bit uneasy because it's the election right now, but rates have been kind of maintaining, although sellers are making deals because homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. So even though we're still low in inventory, there's still a lot of buyers options out there. There's many ways that you can craft that conversation. They're not asking, when they ask where the market is, what the specific interest rate is. They're asking how confident you are in purchasing in this market or selling in this market and working in this market. And then as you ease in and you have a little bit more questions and back and forth, you start to get to the real reason why they're asking it. But there's always going to be some general question that's thrown out, and you get to craft the response and dictate how the conversation is going to go.
So let's talk about not just the idea of scripting, but kind of in practice. How in your business do you utilize this, or how do you sharpen your sword? Because I would love to people just go out there and move fast and make mistakes, but people have that hesitancy. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to do X, Y, and Z. How does rehearsing these scripts prepare them for being in the field and saying, oh, this isn't going to trip me up. This is an opportunity. This is a chance for me to demonstrate my value. Because something you just said that I want to go back to is you don't realize how many agents in this market don't know how to speak to the questions that are being asked. Mm-hmm. What I want to reinforce is that you don't understand how much knowledge you have compared to other agents in the market beyond just the market, because the training and the follow-up education at Keller Williams in town has created a situation, particularly the mentorship program, has created situations where they're able to get their hands on early and say, oh, okay, I need to learn more, but they don't realize how much more they already know than the other agents out there who aren't getting that same training, who aren't getting that same investment from the higher ups.
Well, I think it's a combination of the two, right? So number one, as a new realtor, because that's when you have the most lack of confidence, right? Like, I've never sold anything. I've never listed anything. I haven't had a client yet. You're still more knowledgeable than the average buyer and the average seller because you've taken a 75-hour course. Now you have to understand the practice of real estate. And so you have to dive in. The only way that you can build your confidence is by doing the work. The only way that you build your confidence is by not having an answer to a question, but saying, hey, I will get back to you. Because know that as a realtor, you're going to be saying that a lot. Hey, I don't have an answer to that, but I'll get back to you within 24 hours, 48 hours. And as long as you're consistent with your follow-up, it doesn't shake their confidence in you. It's you being honest and saying, I'm never going to know everything, but I do have the resources to get you the knowledge that you need, right? And so as you're having more scripting practices, or even as you're just having more casual conversations, start with your family and friends. Those are easy people that they will give you a lot of grace in making a mistake, but then you can come back and craft your argument again or craft your answer. This also allows you to be able to understand objections and know that every time a buyer or a seller says something, it's not necessarily a real objection. So it allows you to kind of talk your way through it and answering and asking the right questions to get to the real reason why they're asking those questions, right? I think a great example is when I used to sell a condominium development. Some people will be like, do you allow dogs here? And when I originally first started, I was like, oh my God, they're not going to want to buy here because we allow dogs and blah, blah, blah. And then you question the question, do you have a dog? No, I was just wondering. I was just thinking about getting a dog and I was just wondering where I could walk them. It's not always because someone asked a question that they have a problem. Sometimes they're just fishing. Sometimes they don't want to feel like they're being rolled over and sold so fast. They throw up objections to look knowledgeable. So through scripting, you learn how to manage objections and handle objections and question the question to get to the real idea of what it is behind that actual question, right? Is this a buying signal? Is this a pausing signal? You know, do they really want to buy? Are they ready, willing, and able? Because at the end of the day, we need ready, willing, and able buyers. You got to have all three, not just two out of the three. And questions and scripting allows you to get to get to the answers for those three as soon as possible.
Similarly, I'm trying to get back on some objections that I know we're going to hear from people. Like, I've always had I'm more natural when I don't overthink it and things of that nature. What LaCressa is impressing is that the things that you're confident in, the things that you can anticipate, this is going to save you time. If I can anticipate these buying signals, if I can anticipate these objections, we're not going to spend time spinning our wheels. Your time is valuable. The time you spend with a client who's not, like you said, ready, willing, and able to buy. If you've got two of them, then you're going to spin your wheels and not know, hey, maybe it's time for me to readjust or reevaluate how I'm spending my time with these people. But because you're able to be proactive, control the situation, and control the conversations, you have a greater knowledge of exactly how to sell to that client and how to be of best service to them as well.
Absolutely, especially when you have delivered everything that your client has asked for you, right? You asked for this, I got it. You asked for this, I got it. You've given them the laundry list of things that they either needed or wanted or a combination of the two. And then all of a sudden you're like, so you're ready to put in an offer? And they're like, no. You have to figure out why, right? Through scripting, you can help come up with the right questions to get to their why. And once you get to the why, then you can solve that problem and get them to move forward. There are people who want to buy a home. They're just afraid of the process. They're afraid that they can't do it. They're afraid of you knowing their personal information at the same time while they're trying to borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is an emotional and tactical process. And you need to be able to not only know how to handle the emotional side, but also the tactical side. And through scripting, it allows you to handle both.
So from what you've seen, what are some of the best ways people can, who aren't comfortable scripting, who aren't necessarily in that place yet, how's the best way for them to get started to say, hey, I want to take this seriously. I want to make sure I can 10x my business in the next 12 months. I want to do these things where I'm going to invest in myself. What is the best kind of launch pad for that, for someone who wants to get into scripting?
So number one, I mean, Mark has set up a bunch of different masterminds based on your production level, right? And so you'll be able to be in a room of your peers who are in the same arena as you. They are the best people to pick up a scripting partner with. And I would suggest not having one scripting partner, but having several of them so you can hear different people's opinions about how to handle certain. It allows you to be able to build up your language so you can actually build a sense of urgency for your clients to get them to the finish line faster. A lot of times, because of our lack of confidence, we end up slowing down the process for our buyers without even knowing it and realizing it unconsciously in what we are doing, right? So if you're initially afraid to reach out to another agent, start with your family and friends. People that you can talk about the home buying process. They've already been through the struggles of you taking the class and passing the test and the excitement of all of that. Now, let them be a typical buyer or a typical agent and throw questions at you. You're able to make mistakes in front of people who love you and are going to give you grace if you're afraid of the stage fright of being in front of another agent. So, do you know how to explain the home buying process in a simple and understandable form? Do you understand how to explain the process of working with a lender? Do you know what the importance is of having a listing agreement, a BBA, and how to break those things down to someone in the simplest form, even though you're going to be passing them on the documents? Start with the people that you trust and who know and trust and love you. Build up your little bit of confidence from there, and then reach out to some of the agents in your office. Not everyone's going to respond to that, but I promise you that there are some hungry agents who are constantly trying to build their business, grow their brand, and build their confidence. And we all need each other to do that.
LaCressa, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for being such a great voice for this. I'm going to kind of wrap us up with 5 things that I think we've touched on today. And because I'm a nerd, they all kind of lead up to the 5th thing. So the first thing is, scripting allows you to improve your communication clarity. These are complex transactions. The questions and concerns are going to not only allow you to answer them more effectively, but seem more confident when you do so. You should already have confidence. LaCressa mentioned the 75 hours. Take that and know that when you enter these conversations, you're the expert. Take a deep breath and recognize it. And use this to make yourself stand out even more. 2, it boosts your confidence and consistency. Having the same message over and over again allows you to not just repeat it, but allows you to truly embody it and have the deeper thoughts on what you're saying. 3, it overcomes common objections. This is through the communicational clarity. This is through your confidence. Once you have those things in place, you're going to be not only not ready to handle the pushback, but excited to do so. Say, hey, look, I know what you're thinking. Let's get in front of that now. And now that person trusts you more. More to the point, gaining that trust and building on it, this is going to save you time and reduce errors. If every time you have to write the same email, you're writing it from scratch, I would tell you to make a signature so you don't have to do that. Same thing with scripting. If you're having the same conversation 5 times a week, you should probably have a smoother way for that to all roll out. And last but not least, it's building client trust and relationship. And that is the crux of why we're doing all of this. To make those relationships stickier, to make them more effective, and to make them not just a client for a transaction, but a client for life. LaCressa, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. I really appreciate that. Do you have any parting words for anyone? Because like I said, we're going to be sharing this as a separate video for some of our people who didn't make it in today. Do you have anything you want to kind of impress upon the importance of scripting?
Yeah, just know that you're building value over time, right? And the more that you pour in, the more value you build. And then also, I would say too, just understand that the more conversations you have, even with just your friends, your family, your colleagues, whoever, especially those of you who are dual career, think of them that every time you're having a conversation with someone about real estate, they might not be your client, but the confidence and the expertise that you display will allow them to be a referral for you. So think of every single person that you interact with and have a conversation with about real estate, that there's a possibility that they might not be your client, but they know someone who will. And then the more confidence that you have and the more confidence they have in you, they might not need you in this immediate market, but I promise you, your name will be on their mind and your name will be spoken in rooms that you don't even realize. And you're going to start building your referral base just by having conversations with the people that you know and love and you already trust and that they already trust you, and build upon it.
Absolutely fantastic. Thanks again, LaCressa. Thanks to everyone who joined us live and everyone who's checking us out on the recorded version of this. Very excited. Once a month, we're going to be continuing to bring you Shelter Scriptology. Next month, we're going to have a new agent in here discussing not just the importance of scripting, but why we do it and how it's effective in growing your business. Also, we get enough participants, we're going to do some live scripting as well. Excited to do that for you guys here in the coming months. But once again, I am Daniel Palmer. This is Shelter Scriptology, brought to you by Shelter Home Mortgage and your good friends at Keller Williams in town. Thanks you guys very much and have a great rest of your day.